Genesis chapter 2. Thus heaven and earth and all their adornment were finished, and on the seventh day God finished the works he made, and he rested on the seventh day from all the works he made. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his works God began to make. This is the book of Genesis of heaven and earth, when they were made, in the day the Lord God made heaven and earth. Before any plant of the field was on earth, and before any herb of the field sprang up, for God had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. But a fountain came up from the ground and watered the whole face of the earth. Then God formed man out of the dust of the ground, and breathed in his face the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Then the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man he formed. Besides this, God caused every tree beautiful to the sight and good for food to grow from the ground. Also in the middle of the garden, the tree of life and the tree of learning the knowledge of good and evil. Now a river went out of Eden to water the ground, and from there it separated into four heads. The name of the first is Pishon. It circles all the land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. The carbuncle and the emerald are there as well. The name of the second river is Gihon. It circles all the land of Ethiopia. The name of the third river is Tigris. It flows over against the Assyrians. And the fourth river is Euphrates. Then the Lord God took the man he formed and put him in the garden to tend and to keep it. And the Lord God commanded Adam, saying, You may eat the fruit from every tree in the garden, but from the tree of knowledge of good and evil you may not eat it. You may not eat. For in whatever day you eat from it, you shall die by death. And the Lord God said, It is not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. Also God formed out of the ground all the wild animals of the field and all the birds of heaven, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. Thus whatever Adam called each living creature, that it was its name. Adam gave names to all cattle, to all the birds of heaven, and to all the wild animals of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper comparable to him. Thus God brought a trance upon Adam, and he slept. And God took one of his ribs and filled up the flesh in its place. Then the Lord God built the rib he took from Adam to a woman and brought her to him. So Adam said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Now the two were naked, and both Adam and his wife were not ashamed. I'm going to try to keep reading to chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3. Now the serpent was more cunning than all the wild animals the Lord God made on the earth, and he said to the woman, Has God indeed said, You shall not eat from every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, We may eat the fruit from the trees of the garden, but from the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden, God said, You shall not eat it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die. Then the serpent said to the woman, "You shall not die by death, for God knows in the day you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like gods, knowing good and evil." So when the woman saw the tree was good for food, it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree beautiful to contemplate, she took its fruit and ate. She also gave it to her husband with her, and he ate. The eyes of the two were opened, and they knew they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves coverings. Then they heard a voice of the Lord God walking in the garden that afternoon. Adam and his wife hid themselves within the tree in the middle of the garden from the presence of the Lord God. So the Lord God called Adam and said to him, "Adam, where are you?" He replied, "I heard your voice as you were walking in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid myself." Thus he said, "Who said you were naked? Have you eaten from the one tree from which I commanded you not to eat?" Then Adam said, "The woman you gave me of the tree, and I ate." So the Lord said to the woman, "What is this you have done?" The woman said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." Thus the Lord God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, you are cursed more than all cattle and more than all the wild animals of the earth. On your breast and belly you shall go, and you shall eat dust all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall be on guard for his heel." To the woman he said, "I will greatly multiply your pain and groaning, and in pain you shall bring forth children. Your recourse will be to your husband, and he shall rule over you." Then to Adam he said, "Because you heeded the voice of your wife and ate from the one tree which I commanded you, saying, 'You shall not eat from it,' cursed is the ground in your labors. In toil you shall eat from it all the days of your life. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat the bread until you return to the ground from which you were taken. Earth you are, and earth you shall return." So Adam called his wife's name Life, because she was the mother of all living. Also for Adam and his wife the Lord God made garments of skin and clothed them. Then the Lord God said, Behold, the man has become like one of us to know good and evil. Now lest he put out his hand and also take also the tree of life and eat and live forever. Therefore the Lord God sent him out of the garden of pleasure to cultivate the ground from which he was taken. So he cast out Adam and made him dwell opposite the garden of pleasure, and he then stationed the cherubim and the fiery sword which turns every way to guard the way to the tree of life. Genesis chapter 4. Now Adam knew Eve his wife, and she was conceived and bore Cain, and said, "I have acquired a man through God." I have acquired a man through God. Then she bore again, this time his brother Abel. Now Abel was a shepherd of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Now in the process of time, Cain brought a sacrifice to the Lord from the fruits of the ground. Abel also brought a sacrifice from the firstborn of his flock, and his offering firstborn of his flock and of their fat. The Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his sacrifices. So Cain was extremely sorrowful, and his countenance fell. So the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you extremely sorrowful? And why has your countenance fallen? Did you not sin, even though you brought it rightly, but did not divide it rightly? Be still. His recourse shall be to you, and you shall rule over him." Now Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother and killed him. Then God said to Cain, "Where is your brother? Where is Abel your brother?" He replied, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" Thus God said, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood. From your hand when you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength. You will be groaning and trembling on the earth." Then Cain said to the Lord, "My guilt is too great to be forgiven. Surely you have driven me out this day. From the face of the ground I shall be hidden from your face, and I shall be groaning and trembling on the earth. Then it will happen, if anyone finds me, he will kill me." So the Lord God said to him, "Not so. Whoever kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold." Thus the Lord set a sign on Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him. Then Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod, opposite of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. And he built a city, and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begot Mahujael, and Mahujael begot Methuselah. Methuselah begot Lamech, and then Lamech took 2 wives for himself. The name of the one was Ada, and the name of the second was Zillah. Ada bore Jabal. He was the father of those who dwell in the tents and have livestock. His father's name was Jubal. He is the one who invented the psaltery and harp. As for Zillah, she also bore Tubal-Cain, a smith and manufacturer of bronze and iron, and the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Then Lamech said to his wives Ada and Zillah, "Hear my voice, you wives of Lamech, and listen carefully to my words, because I killed a man for wounding me, and a young man for hurting me. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, then Lamech 77fold." And Again, Adam knew his wife Eve, and she conceived and bore a son, and he named him Seth, saying, God has appointed another seed for me instead of Abel, whom Cain killed. As for Seth, to him also a son was born. He named him Enosh, and hoped in the Lord God, and called upon his name. Genesis chapter 5. This is the book of the Genesis of mankind, and in the day God made Adam, whom he made in God's image. He made them male and female, and blessed them, and the day and made them. He called his name Adam. Now Adam lived 230 years and begot a son according to his form and image, and named him Seth. After he begot Seth, the days of Adam were 700 years, and he begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Adam were 930 years, and he died. Now Seth lived 205 years and begot Enosh. After he begot Enosh, Seth lived 707 years and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Now Enosh lived 190 years and begot Canaan. After he begot Canaan, Enosh lived 715 years and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. Now Canaan lived 100 years and 70 years and begot Mahalalel. After he begot Mahalalel, Canaan lived 740 years and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. Now Mahalalel lived 165 years and begot Jared. After he begot Jared, Mahalalel lived 730 years and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. Now Jared lived 100 years and 62 years and begot Enoch. After he begot Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Now Enoch lived 165 years and begot Methuselah. After he begot Methuselah, Enoch was well-pleasing to God for 200 years and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Thus Enoch was well-pleasing to God and was not found, for God translated him. Now Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech, and after he begot Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Now Lamech lived 188 years, and he begot a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, He will give us rest from our work and the toil of our hands, because of the ground the Lord God cursed. After he begot Noah, Lamech lived 565 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 753 years, and he died. Noah was 500 years old, and he begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth.